Chapter 3F looks at how we can calculate the correlation coefficient. Now there is a formula that will allow us to do this by hand. Where n is your number of points, x bar is, as always, your mean of your x values, y bar will therefore be your mean of y values, S with the little subscript x is your standard deviation of x values. And we can pretty much conclude that S with the y subscript is your standard deviation of the y values. Now you might be wondering what x and y values are actually referring to. If you recall, the correlation coefficient refers to if you have a scatter plot. Let's say this is your y-axis and x-axis. If you have a scatter plot, looks something like that. Your correlation coefficient is kind of like a judge of how well or how strong the linear correlation between x and y is. So something like this might be R equals 0.7. Okay, you can see there is a bit of a trend there. It's not very strong, so maybe roughly 0.7. But you can see, for example, n here would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. N would be 9. Your x values are all these values here, and your y values, just the y values. Now, when you have a big, powerful calculator like this, there isn't a lot of use actually knowing this formula off by heart, let alone actually knowing how to do it by hand, because you are better off using your calculator to work it out. But if you do want to have practice applying this, as it will, knowing how to do this will still develop your understanding of what the correlation coefficient is. If you are interested in giving it a go, it is page 113 in your textbook, and there is an example here on how to work it out by hand. So to use the calculator, we're going to follow these instructions here. We're first going to go to statistics. We're going to enter our X data into list 1, and we're going to enter our Y data into list 2. You can rename them there so you know what's going on if you wish. Let's use one example from the textbook. We'll just enter our X data. And then our Y data. Now, obviously, because these are points on a scatter plot, the number of X values must match the number of Y values, okay? Because they're coordinates. Like here, this dot will have an X value and it has a Y value, so they've got to be the same amount. If they're not the same amount, then chances are you've missed a number or you've added an extra one where there shouldn't be. Next part is we go calc up here, then regression, then linear regression, and hit OK. Oh, see, that didn't work because I've renamed them X and Y. So I want to select X and select Y. If you didn't rename them, you can leave it as list 1 and list 2. Then we hit OK. R is our correlation coefficient. So for this one, our R value is 0.8322 decimal places.